Hey guys, welcome once again into the I Am the Possible podcast experience. Yes, this is the place, the space where possibilities become perspective. Guys, welcome once again into this space and into this place. I is your host, Treveal C.W. Lynch, Mr. What? And I am excited about sharing this episode with you. Guys, today we're going to be talking about something that really breaks my heart in many ways. And I think that's what continues to fuel me, to light the fire right under me. It keeps me going because it's something that I've wrestled with. I see others wrestling with, and I'm just fascinated about the process, about learning what it takes to overcome this one struggle. The struggle of having a goal, having a dream, having a vision, having an unction, having the idea that you were created for something greater, that you were created to create something, that you were created to do something, that you were created to produce something, to bring something into existence, to bring something to life. And yet, you find a way. You find a way to stop. You find a way to stop. You find a way to fail. You find some way, somehow. It just keeps showing up. Something just keeps getting in your way. And today, I want to approach this from a different angle. I want to approach this with what I believe is at the core of this problem, at the root of this problem. We're seeing the fruit, the inconsistency. We're seeing the fruit of starting and stopping. We're seeing the fruit of always talking about what you want to do, talking about, what you want to, produce, what you want to create, talking about, you're telling your friends, your family members, your coworkers, you're even talking to yourself about this thing that you are going to one day, someday do, one day, someday bring to life, one day, someday create, one day, someday accomplish and achieve. But that one day, someday keeps getting further and further and further out into the future. You're just not doing it. Or you'll do it for a little while and then you'll stop. If that's you, today's episode is for you. Today's episode is for you. I want to be a straight shooter today. I don't want to sugarcoat it. I want to get right into it, and I want to get right to it, to do it, to unpack some things, to address some things, to be real about some things. And so let's start off with an idea. Ideas create everything. Ideas create everything. You and I, we are literally God's idea, right? God had an idea called you before you ever came to be. That's the only reason that you're here. And so we know that ideas bring things to life. Ideas are contributors to creation. Ideas are the front man. Ideas are the spark. It's the inspiration. Ideas are the catalyst for anything that we want to create. So let's start off with some really informative, very powerful ideas that I believe will help us to really dive a little deeper into what's holding up that stop sign, that red light of life, that thing that keeps telling you, no, you're never going to do that. No, you're never going to actually achieve that. Nope, you're never going to be the person that can have or do or be that. Because I believe in our heart of hearts, in our subconscious, that there is something there that's preventing you from moving forward. So with no further ado, I'm going to share my screen. And if you are watching, you should be watching on the tube. If you are not watching, then you should be watching. And if you are watching, then awesome, you will see this. All right. If you are not watching, if you are not on the tube, head over to YouTube, type in I Am the Possible. find my channel, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified each and every week, every time I drop a new episode, so that you can get the visuals just as much as you get the audibles of this podcast. All right, so let me share my screen. Let's jump into this. What you are seeing on the screen is like my favorite illustration of all time. This is what is like pumping through my veins every day of my life. What you see in yourself and what you say to yourself. It is my belief that those are the two most influential, most impactful, most powerful energies in a person's life. What you see in yourself, what you say to yourself. I believe it is leading you to either stopping or starting. It's the red light or the green light in a person's life, in your life. See, one thing that I have learned, oh my goodness, one thing I've learned, we love to market all the surface level, sexy fluff. We love to push the fluff. Social media, fluff. We go to these conferences, fluff. We sometimes, hey man, from the pulpit, man, fluff. We're telling folks that there's something outside of them. We're telling folks it's something that they've got to do, that they got to acquire. There's work that they have to do outside of themselves that are going to magically make them this individual that is then confident enough to move forward on their goals and their dreams. It's kind of set up that way, right? It's like we're born into this deficit. And I'm going to be talking about that in future episodes, but it's like, even with original sin, and I won't go down that rabbit hole, but just to mention it, even with this idea of like original sin, we're born into sin. It's like we're born into this deficit of character, deficit of value, deficit of worth, deficit of even just our own dignity, right? A deficit of our own dignity. And when you're set up to always be in a deficit and you always have to get something and do something in order to then be something, you're always playing catch up. And I believe that some of us are emotionally, spiritually, mentally, even physically exhausted because we're always trying to catch up. And we're like already there, man. We're already there. We're already who we are. We're already who we need to be. We're already what we need to be. We're already here, man. Right? But yet, if you believe that you're in a deficit, if you believe that you lack something, then you're going to spend a lot of energy trying to acquire, trying to get, trying to add on. When the truth is, you're already enough. You're already equipped. You're already brilliant enough. I'm not saying don't improve. God knows I'm all about self-improvement. I'm all about elevation. I'm all about this awareness. I'm all about expansion. Yes, absolutely. Grow, develop, prosper, do well, do better, do great. What I'm talking about in this context is there is an indictment on your identity. There is an indictment on your value as an individual, your ability to have the confidence that is necessary to be courageous enough to do the things that God's called you to do. That is the context in which I speak. And I'm saying for that, there's no add-ons. There's nothing there. You're already here. So that's evident that God wants you here. He already gave you a vision, a goal, a dream, a witty idea, right? He already gave you this grand idea. So that's already implanted in you, invested in you, entrusted to you. So you already got it. You got life, you got Christ, and you have a dope idea. But why do you keep stopping? Why do you keep stopping? If you have air in your lungs, breath in your body, Christ already went to the cross, right? The work has already been done by Christ. What is the work of God? To believe in the one God sent, right? So the work is already there. You already got the faith. And he gave you a dope idea, a concept, but you keep stopping. I told you it gets me worked up because nothing breaks my heart more than seeing people, especially Christians, especially my folks. Nothing breaks my heart more than knowing and hearing about and seeing a child of God, a person who believes in the Christ, a person who believes, man, and is about the kingdom advancing, and they got this dope idea and they don't do anything with it. They just talk about it and talk about it and talk about it, but don't move out on it. Nothing breaks my heart more. Not in a negative sense, but in a very inspiring sense, motivating sense. It fuels me. It keeps me alive. It keeps me going. Because as long as I continue to hear these stories and see these people, I know that there's work for me to do. Right? And so, again, I just wanted to kind of speak from the heart for a moment. And now I want to spend the next couple of minutes just educating. Okay? So, this illustration, what you see, what you say, leads to what you do. Let me break this down even more. Check this out, y'all. Let's go to this next slide. Check it out. Dr. Maxwell Maltz. Dr. Maxwell says, identity is the control system of human action. Like a thermostat, you will only tolerate, get this, this one hit me hard. You will only tolerate behavior that's consistent with the story you believe about yourself. If you see yourself as the kind of person who struggles, your subconscious will find a way to keep that story true. This is why I'm so passionate about this, guys, because I hear what you want to do. I hear what God has put in your heart, but I don't know that many of you have really taken this identity thing as serious as it needs to be taken. For my Bible folks, do you realize that the devil, Satan, Satan, whatever you want to call him, the antagonist, whatever you want to call him, when we read the Genesis story, and I know you've heard it a million times, right? But I got to bring it back to the original conflict. God is keeping you from this thing, tree of life, fruit, whatever it was, however it played out. God is keeping you from this thing. Because if you take of this thing, you will become like. See that future tense? Become like. You will become like, as if you're not already. You will become like. He knows that if you take of this thing, you will become like. It was an indictment on identity. It was focused on the individual. It wasn't focused on what they would be able to do. It was focused on what they would be able to be. This is the foundation. Identity is the foundation. And it's not just about the identity, but it's about what's informing your identity. What information informs your identity? Now, I don't want to let the cat out the bag, but I'll just mention it right now. But I'm super excited because I'm working on some things in the background. All right. Because I really want to provide more value, and I really want to provide something that's going to be a tangible tool that someone can utilize. Really summarizing my last 25 years of just me going through this process, all the things that I've learned, the books that I've read, the stuff that I've come into contact with, really just kind of putting it all into this amazing tool that I know is going to bless so many people. It's going to empower so many people. But it's not about just the identity. It's about what's informing the identity. And many people's identity are being informed by their environment, informed by their experiences, rather than being informed by a reliable, insightful evaluation. And I'm going to provide a tool really soon here. My goal is by the end of the year, might even be sooner, but certainly by the end of the year, I want to have it ready as a Christmas gift to yourself, right? And then going into the new year, I can see ways to really market it and really help people kick off the new year really, really well. But what's informing it? Because right here, we're able to see, man, it's the control system. Your behavior is being dictated by your belief in yourself, what you believe about you, not who you are, but what you are. I am a person who struggles. That's not who you are. Who you are might be John, Mike, Paul, whatever, right? That's who you are. That's who you are. But this identity is in the context of what you are. That's why I'm so fixated on the what. That's why I'm so 10 toes down on the what, because I think that is the missing piece to the puzzle. It's not who you are. It's what you are. I am the kind of person who struggles. Well, your subconscious is going to make sure that you continue to struggle because that's the story. The subconscious supports your story. And you may be having these goals, these dreams, these things that God wants you to do, but you continue to self-sabotage. You continue to stop because the subconscious says the story that you're telling yourself does not align with the desired success. In other words, you have a desired success, but you have a determined story. And so the subconscious is going to pick the story over the success. If you learn to alter, if you learn to correct, if you learn to calibrate, if you learn to adjust your identity, if you learn to adjust, if you learn to improve upon what you believe you are, then you can align it with what you want to do and what you are created to do. Right? I hope this starts to make sense and to really put emphasis on why it's so important for us to work on our identity. All right. Next one. Check this out, guys. Check this out. Zig Ziglar. You cannot consistently perform in a manner which is inconsistent with the way you what? See yourself. I told you. How you see yourself, what you see in yourself, what you say to yourself. Here's Zig Ziglar. You cannot consistently perform in a manner inconsistent with the way that you see yourself. In other words, you may be able to start. You may be able to get out the starting blocks. You may be able to do a mile. You may be able to even do 2 miles. But if the journey is 6 miles, you might not be able to last that long. Something's going to get in the way. You're going to self-sabotage. You're going to have to course correct with your own devaluing story. You're going to have to align, your life is going to have to line back up with your self-defeating story because it won't last long enough. You won't be able to be consistent enough. It'll run out of gas. That initial motivation, that initial spark of inspiration, that initial green light juice that you got going on, that emotional high. That's why people can go to conferences. That's why people can go to conferences and get excited temporarily in that atmosphere, standing up on chairs, screaming at the top of their lungs, going hoarse, dancing, the music's pumping, the energy is hype, right? Whether it's Tony Robbins, whether it's, Eric Thomas, or, I'm just kind of throwing out some names. But you go to these big motivational speaking conferences, even in church, you go to men's conferences, whatever it is, women's conferences, you are so hype in that environment. People around you high-fiving you, amen in it. Let's get it. Let's go. We're going to conquer the world. We're going to do this thing. And the minute you get home, your identity comes a knocking. Your identity welcomes you home, I should say. Your subconscious story opens up that front door and says, "Welcome home." Now I know you had a good time this weekend. That that retreat you went on, hey, I know you had an awesome time. I know you had a great time. That was pretty cool, right? Like you guys had a great time. You guys were high-fiving, man. The energy was hype, man. You were gonna, I know. But guess what? Come on back. Come on back to reality. Come on back to life, back to reality. Right? I know you've been there. I have. I've been there. I know it, man. I have been there. I got videotape. I got tape. Check the tape, baby. I got tape. I've been to big events, big conferences, and got home and was like, yeah, I'm not gonna hit them numbers. I'm not gonna hit them numbers because that's not who I am. I can speak about it. I can laugh about it because I've been there and done that. All right. Last one I'm gonna show, and then I'm gonna get back to the regular screen. So that was what you see in yourself. Now here's what you say to yourself. Myron Goldman. All right. Myron Goldman, and all of these guys, these are all well-established motivational speakers, men of faith, powerful keynote speakers, people that have been in the game for over 20, 30, 40 years. So these are some reliable sources. Myron Goldman says, your life will never rise higher than the conversations, which you say, right? The conversations you have with yourself when no one else is listening. Yeah. What are you saying to yourself when no one else is listening? And this is what I'm talking about when it comes to the whole self-sabotage, right? This is what I'm talking about. It's you don't see yourself in a way that aligns with your desired success. You're not saying things that align with your desired success. How do you think you're ever going to succeed? The foundation is crumbling beneath you. It's not, you're not rooted. You're not even a biblical term, right? A house is not going to stand, right? When it's built on sand, right? Weak images of ourselves, weak intentions for ourselves, weak, you know, uh, you know, perspectives of ourselves. It's setting us up, man, to continue to sink, right? All right. So let me stop sharing. I think I can hit this button here. Okay. So with that being said, guys, I really hope and pray that I've said something in the last few minutes, shown something in the last few minutes that has helped to put emphasis on why it's so important for us to develop a healthy view of ourselves and a healthy voice for ourselves. One thing that I've done to help me improve the way that I see myself is that I really lean into the imagination and the creativity, the creative side. I allow myself, even, and I don't know if this even aligns or not. I'm just saying it, but I allow myself to be childlike again. I allow myself to play in my sandbox. I allow myself to imagine a world that's greater than the one that I see outside my doors. And in that creative space, in that imagination, as I'm praying, as I'm reading, I'm saying to myself, we all came from, and we all, like, everything came from the same source. And so I'm like, if I can, like, look at, for example, if I can look at a tree, right? And I say, wow, okay, that tree, it's not just a tree, but the tree itself, it provides wood. We build things with the wood. That tree provides, and I'm not a scientist, but it provides like the oxygen, right, that we need so we can breathe. That tree provides a home for birds and squirrels. That tree provides shade. That tree provides beauty. I mean, especially if you're in the Midwest, right? The leaves turn different colors, they fall. I just named, I don't know, 5 or 6 things just off the dome that a tree does. So a tree is not just a tree. A tree is a source of resources that can help you build a house. A tree is a shelter for the animals. A tree is a producer of oxygen or whatever the chemicals are that helps us to breathe. You get where I'm going with this? A tree is a site of beauty. Those are like 4 or 5 things that a tree is other than what it is, a tree. This is what I talk about when I try to illustrate to the best of my ability the what. You're not just a man or a woman. You're not just a boy or a girl. You're not just a human, Homo sapien. You're not just, heck, even, you can get spiritual. You're not just a child of God. No, man, you are something of great value. You are a great resource of many things, a reservoir of many things. And so I just allow my imagination to kind of flow as I pray. And as I think and I meditate on the things that I believe God's called me to, it's in this prayerful, meditative space, this playful, childlike space, this imaginary make-believe land that I allow myself to go into, that gives me ideas that bring me, or that like creates a space internally for me to go beyond the realm of like the normal, because normal can get very boring. It can get very gray. It can get very static. And so I'm just revealing to you kind of my flow. You have to find your own flow, right? As with every episode, I'm going to give you links below that you can click on, my free resources that can help you to craft a better identity. There's going to be assessments that you can take, that you can get more insight about the way that God's designed you. And soon on the way, I'm going to have a very comprehensive tool that is going to just radically change the way that you see and the things that you say to yourself. But right now, where you can start today is by entertaining the idea that you are much more than what you have currently given yourself permission to believe, to see, to know. You know how I grew up, I was watching, as a child, one of the cartoons and shows that I used to love to watch, Transformers. More than meets the eye. You're a transformer, man. You're more than what meets the eye, For me, with this whole communication thing, my story, 20 something years ago, Eric Brown walked up, said I was a teacher, went on this 25-year journey. Along the way, yes, I'm a teacher, spiritual gift, but I built upon that. I later became God's communication channel, tuning into the frequency of heaven. Right? Like I that's what I call myself. I am God's communication channel. I am a channel in which God can flow and can communicate through. That's one of the many things that I see in myself. And that's one of the many things that I say to myself. Right? I am a vessel of creativity. I am God's extension. I am God's expression. I am an experience of God. And you say, man, you're talking real big about yourself. Well, I say the same thing about you. You are an experience of God, an extension of God, an expression of God. God is a source of all. And God said, let us create man in our likeness and in our image. To be like, to do like, to even sound like God himself, God's self. This is why the devil came after what we believe about ourselves. That's why that was the original indictment. And that's why some have come up with the theory that we are born into a deficit, original sin, Adam's sin. And again, I don't want to go down that path right now. But you got to think about this. There is an indictment on what you believe about yourself from the beginning. A deficit? I'm always playing catch up? It's always something outside of me? No. It's allowing what's already there. It's allowing what is to be in the form of you. You want more confidence? Know that you are. You want more courage? Know that you are. You want more clarity about your life? Start with knowing that you are. Not will be, but you are. Not one day, someday, but you are. And there's nothing that's going to add to you that's going to add more value to you. I know in certain contexts, marketplace, business, corporate, I get all of that. That's not what I'm talking about. Remember, what we covered today was a subconscious story about what you truly believe about yourself. And it is that story, that underlining story, that devaluing story, that diminishing story, that discouraging, disheartening, depleting, deflating story that you keep telling yourself about yourself. That is what's making you stop. It's not anything outside of you. Because you see people that have gone through more than you've ever gone through and ever will go through, that have achieved more. They've done more with less. And they've done more, going through more things than you have. They're not better than you. They're just not caught up on some story that's telling them what they can't do and who they can't be and what they can't have. That's the difference. It's the story. We got to change our stories, people. We got to change our stories. And we change our stories by changing what we believe about what we are. That's what's worked for me. And I believe that it'll work for you. Click the links below. Email me. Leave a comment. Reach out. Let's do this thing. Let's get across your finish line. Let's get that business started. Let's get that ministry started. Let's get that idea out to the world. You're playing with house money. You have nothing to lose. You're already here. Christ already came. The idea is already in your heart. What more do you need? I love you guys. I'm praying for you guys. I believe in you guys. Until next time, this is Treveal C.W. Lynch. Mr. What? This is the I Am the Possible podcast experience. The place where possibilities become perspective.